Are we recording? Okay, guys. I'm going to do the same setup as I did last time. The last podcast I did, the audio only. It was kind of funny. I posted the audio on YouTube and someone commented, it's very uncharacteristic of me to only do audio and not video. And you're right, it is. But this saves a little bit of time. Time is of the essence these days as I'm out here in Puerto Rico. Usually wake up early and got like 3 or potentially 4 hours of workout and desk work time before we leave. For example, today we were in the championship series against Caguas and we're down 0-1. We lost yesterday, bummer. But today we are on the road, so we have to leave our city at 1. And it's a 2-hour drive, and you got to pick up food. So I don't know why I just rambled on. I know no one really cares about that, but it's my podcast, so deal with it. Anyways, what I was saying was I'm going to do something different today. I'm outside. This is, I'm by the water. So this is where I do my morning routine. And I was kind of shooting for, like, you know, when you put in those yoga videos, those yoga tapes back in PE, circa 2005, and you'd be doing the yoga poses and you'd hear the water and you'd be like, oh, that's so calm and soothing and peaceful. I'm going for that with this podcast. And we got 4 jet skis. You ever see a sad person on a jet ski? Man, I should have just done a video out here too. Anyways, all right, so I'm sure you're wondering what the heck is going on. What am I talking about today? So what I am talking about today is actually a segment that I don't believe I've ever really done any content on, but extremely important within the pitching space is this understanding of like strengths versus hitters' weaknesses, or pitcher strengths versus hitters' weaknesses, reading hitters' swing, sequences. Like, we're going to dive into all of that. Now, before we dive into it, I'm going to only try to spend like 10-15 minutes because I actually got to get back to the desk and work on my book. But I want to talk just briefly about my kind of general rule of thumbs and how I approach it. Now, again, I need to preface all of this by saying, like, there's no really absolutes. The ultimate trump card, okay? So the underlying thing that I would put at the utmost importance when you're talking about pitching, sequencing, reading hitters, identifying hitters' weaknesses, identifying pitcher strengths, the ultimate trump card is like personal conviction in whatever it is that you as a pitcher want to throw, okay? That means it's not about what the catcher puts down, okay? Remember, I know some colleges, like pitching coaches or managers or whatever, call pitches. I don't want to dive too much into that. I didn't go to college, but I'll dive more into like my personal experience and my learnings and understandings throughout my journey. And having a big league father what helped as well. But personal conviction, sorry about that P and that pop. Wow, that's weird. Personal conviction is your ultimate trump card. Okay, so whatever it is, like whatever pitch that you are 110% convicted in is 100% going to be the right pitch. Now, there's going to be times in your journey in which you just get a feeling for a particular pitch, and maybe it isn't the right pitch in the given count, in the given situation, and you do get hit, and you do lose the game, or whatever, right? Like whatever experience comes with that. That doesn't necessarily mean it was wrong. Okay, because for me personally, and I could be different than whoever you are that is listening to this, wherever you're at in your walk, in your journey in baseball. But for me, I just want to be able to, like, before I go to bed at night, I want to be able to like sit there and be mindful of whatever like that day and that outing was, and be like, okay, I can sleep at night. I can live with that. There's been so many times, man. If you're an avid listener of this podcast, you probably have a pretty good idea of everything I've been through, but there's been so many times in my career where I have either lost complete identity of who I was as a pitcher, didn't really know my strengths, and there's been like times where I just wanted to please everybody, so I was just yes, right? Like even with catcher's suggestions, yes, even if I wasn't convicted in whatever that offering was. And it is way harder to sleep at night when you're not really trusting your gut instinct, okay? Personal experience, maybe you're different. Now, obviously, there is a kind of concept within this, makes sense to some people, where they get conviction from the catcher's suggestion, right? So, for example, like Roberto Perez is out here in winter ball catching, 2-time Gold Glove winner, has caught, all of the freaking best to do it. Great Cleveland staff those years with Kluber, and he obviously has a pretty good idea of efficient sequencing, hitters' swings, scouting reports, all that stuff. So yeah, there's an idea, there's a concept that you can get conviction, pitch to pitch conviction from your catcher's suggestion. That's 100% cool, accurate. If that works for you, then ride with it. Now, I know I said like the ultimate trump card is like whatever you're convicted in. I guess the ultimate trump card would be like the identification of you as a pitcher. Like, what is it that allows you to be the very, 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 very best version of yourself every single throw, okay? I've met plenty of guys throughout my journey that find conviction from catcher's suggestion. Like, they do better when they're not particularly like thinking about what to throw next. They just go like, they just see the sign, go, okay, we'll throw that, let's go. I've tried to be that guy. I'm not that guy. Okay. I like to kind of, what I try to do is I try to know exactly what pitch I'm throwing before I touch the dirt of the mound again. Sorry for this wind coming in hot. Right, so if I throw a pitch and I walk outside the little mound dirt and then I'm in the grass, I want to know exactly like what I'm throwing and being convicted in what I'm throwing before I get back onto that dirt hill. That's just for me. So first takeaway from this is identification of who you are and what it is that, from a pitch-to-pitch standpoint, that's going to allow you to maximize your performance, okay? And that's, you're going to ask, hey, how's that done? Man, honestly, trial and error, right? Trial and error, going through it, kind of being mindful of yourself, like while you're going through this. So that's a huge piece, something I wanted to talk about for a while, because as I mentioned earlier, I've kind of gone through these brutal experiences in my journey that has taught me a lot about me and what I kind of need to do, moving forward. Now, I don't really want to dive too much into like the sequencing aspect of predictability, meaning you have a certain sequence that you are always going to be convicted in, but somehow or sometimes kind of falls into a pattern. And once you climb up, in more advanced levels of this game, patterning can be obviously easy to pick up. Therefore, you can maybe give up hits on well-executed pitches because you're getting predictable. I'm actually going to go on the record and say I'd rather lean towards the side of like the conviction over the, you're in a predictable pattern. There's, again, going back to my experience, there's been numerous times in my journey where I've thought like, man, I'm being way too predictable. And I've gone away from a particular sequence that, I've had success with in the moment. And I've gotten hurt from it. And that's kind of like falls in the pattern of like overthinking, which I'm notoriously known to do. So that's why through my experiences in this game, that's why I would always lean towards like, man, stay convicted, stick to your guns. Don't overthink about the predictability of it, because I really do believe hitter could know what's coming, And if the pitch is executed with conviction, it's still trying to hit a round ball with a round bat, right? Like the task is still pretty dang difficult. So on the subject of sticking to your guns, good opportunity to segue into like pitching with your strengths versus hitters' weaknesses. This was something that really affected me in 2013. I got kind of obsessed with the preparation aspect of scouting reports. I would always carry a notebook around, write notes. I was a starting pitcher, so on the 5-day routine, days, if we were in a series and I had like game 3 of the series, I'd be like day 1 and 2 with that team. I had a particular notebook for that one team and would just jot down notes throughout the course of a game. And the first year I did it, it was great because I was like attentive, and I think just the preparation gave me a ton of confidence going into starts. And then the following year, I kind of stuck with that same routine, and I found myself like getting lost. 2013 in general was kind of a tough year for identity purposes on my end, but I found myself getting completely lost in like scouting reports and what other pitchers on my staff did well to get guys out when they don't really throw like the same thing as me, right? So basically what I'm trying to say, for example, is like there'd be times in games where I'm like, okay, 2013, for example, I was a sinker ball, 3/4 guy, didn't really throw any four seams, struggled with going glove side, four seam, stuff like that. So if I saw like a hitter struggle with, a four seam, say for a lefty, going hard in on a four seam, I'd notice that, jot that down, get obsessed with that scouting report, and then I would try to like execute that pitch in a leverage count, and it wasn't a good pitch of mine, and I'd get beat, when I'd be in advantage counts, and that again, going back to like that's hard to kind of look back at your outing and be like, I can live with that, because for me personally, I couldn't. And I think it's a mixture. There's guys that are either 100% one way or 100% the other way, meaning I've met guys that are like 100% convicted in the scouting report and pitching to the scouting report. Again, that kind of gives them a little bit of internal confidence, internal conviction, which, going back to the root kind of idea and understanding of this podcast here, is identification of you and what promotes confidence for you and what promotes conviction. I've met guys that are the exact opposite way, talking about like the scouting report, talking about your strengths. I know guys that don't even like to look at a lineup card. I know guys that look at a lineup card and then Google every single one of their their names just to get a better understanding of those guys. Like, what I'm trying to say is just understand you, and that's a trial and error process, honestly. I've been kind of both, and I think the obsession of scouting reports got me away from learning about my true identity and learning about my true strengths as a pitcher, and it took that experience for me to learn that and grow from that, and then to provide this information to you, right? That's the foundation of my brand, essentially. So lastly, we'll talk about like reading hitter swings, and this could complement the idea of pitching to a hitter's weaknesses, right? Reading hitter swings is always a very fine line, just like anything, I guess. There's been times throughout my journey that I've read swings really good, and I've been really attentive to reading swings and maybe adjusting my sequences and adjusting my approach in the moment to better set myself up for success, knowing what the hitter kind of just showed me. I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but this holds a lot of truth. It's always going to come down to the conviction of whatever pitch that you want to throw, okay? But if you are somebody that finds more conviction from pitch to pitch by reading the hitter's swings, Say like he's extremely tardy on a heater. Probably not wise to speed him up with a changeup, right? If you find conviction, if you're somebody that finds conviction from pitch to pitch by reading hitters' swings, then by all means do it. I have seen on countless occasions, and apologies for the wind again, I've seen on countless occasions, there's like general rule of thumb, whatever the hitter's showing you, just, prove that he can beat you or whatever. Like fastball is super tardy on grabbing it out of the catcher's mitt. Why would you throw a changeup? Why would you throw a curveball? Why would you throw a slider? I've seen that so many times, but I do still believe that if your slider's your best pitch and your fastball is your second best pitch, and yeah, maybe he's not picking up your fastball and he's late on your fastball and he's just fouling it off or whatever, don't be out there on the mound and think, man, I can't throw this slider or I'm going to get yelled at, right? That's what's going to promote that restriction. That's what's going to take away your freedom as an athlete. And that's, for me personally, like the biggest indicator of success is freedom, athleticism, looseness, right? I think as soon as people kind of get in that restricted mindset or approach or whatever, they become a completely lesser version of themselves. So I do want to encourage you, yes, it's valuable to read hitter swings and sequence accordingly. And this goes with like reading hitter swings, before you're at bat, from at bats before. Bullpen guys, pay attention to, swings during a game. If a guy, has a complete uppercut, maybe elevate the heater if you're good at that, okay? If a guy has a high leg kick and struggles with timing, typical speed him up, slow him down. A guy has super long swing, wants to get his hands extended, you gotta throw in. And I guess I shouldn't rephrase it like that. You don't have to throw in, but that would be a good pitch for a guy like that. You can also read where guys stand on the dish. It's usually a pretty good indicator, right? Guys that crowd the plate, guys that stand far off the plate. Guys that stand far off the plate want to get their hands extended. Sorry for this wind. And guys that crowd the plate, kind of twofold, honestly. I've seen or talked to guys that crowd the plate because they think that pitchers have a harder time throwing in when they see a big body in there. And then I've seen guys crowd the plate because they want the ball in, because they have really quick hands and a short, compact swing, and they crowd the plate because they want to fool the pitcher into thinking, hey, throw in, even though that's my sweet spot. And that's where you can read swings too, read hitters, what they're trying to do, and talk to your own hitters. That's a huge advantage for being on a team, is you get access to your own hitters and their goals and what they're trying to do at the dish. It's extremely valuable information, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. I have a ton of content on pitch sequencing. If you go to my YouTube channel, I actually have a playlist under like pitch sequencing. Same with my, I want to say my Instagram account. I have a hashtag. If you search Robby Row Pitch Sequencing, it should come up. So I try to hashtag like a lot of different styles of content that I have for you guys to have access to. But that's what I got. Hopefully that helps someone. If you have any questions pertaining to that subject or any subject whatsoever, reach out to me. I have a question platform on my website, therobbyrowshow.com/ask, A-S-K, and feel free to ask me your questions, all right? So for now, got to get back to work. Hopefully this audio wasn't too bad and you could actually hear it. I actually tried to, I got away from the water a little bit because it was actually too loud, but hopefully it worked. The guys with the jet ski are out way out there now. You ever see a sad person on a jet ski? Question of the day. That's kind of how I feel with the scooter dynamic too, right? You ever see a sad person on a scooter? So I've never had a frown face on a scooter, and I got two of those bad boys. All right, I'm rambling. Gotta go back in. Love you guys. God bless. Enjoy your day. Peace. And I missed the end button and then realized, wow, this is like ASMR, which I just learned what that meant like 4 days ago. Is there any nature calls that you guys can hear? Okay, just to get at the 20-minute mark. See ya.